but we're live.
We love your hair. It's good.
We can just fuss with our hair all day long, right? The hair. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm constantly fussing with my hair. Hey, everybody. If you are there, if you're watching, if you're joining us right now, please make sure and say hello in the comments so we know that you're there. And for those of you who don't know me, because we're going live on 8 different platforms right now. So we are live on all of the Celebrate Your Life platforms, my personal page, my professional page, this YouTube page, and we're also live on Dr. Shamini Jane's page as well. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Liz Dawn, and I am the co-founder of Celebrate Your Life events. And with me today, I'm so excited to have this conversation, Shamini.
Me
I
too.
am with Dr. Shamini Jane, and she is a psychologist, a scientist, a social entrepreneur. She is the CEO and founder of the Consciousness and Healing Initiative. And what makes me so intrigued with Dr. Shamini, and is it okay if I could call you Shamini?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Is that you have studied extensively and you teach everything about I'm going to say, I hope I'm going to say this right. Psychoneuroimmunology. And
Beautifully said. Look, Liz, we say if you can say psychoneuroimmunology 7 times really fast, you get your degree. Okay. Say that word. So we actually say PNI for short because it's really a mouthful. But
it is.
I did my doctoral work. I did my research work in that field, and I used it to study healing practices, to study healing.
Yeah, I'm really excited because this isn't a subject that I've ever heard of before meeting you. And I really would love for you to share. And hello, I see somebody made a comment. Barb is there. If you're there, say hello to us, please, and let us know where you're tuning in from. But I would love it if you would share a little bit about psychoneuroimmunology, what it entails, and give us a good definition. And then we're going to talk about how we can use it in our lives.
That sounds great. So first of all, Liz, if you haven't heard the term yet, you're not alone, because honestly, 50 years ago, we didn't have this term. Because 50 years ago, we thought our brains and our immune system didn't even connect. I mean, it's amazing to see how science progresses. So now we know that we have these deep interconnections, not just between the brain and the immune system, but really our emotions and our mental state and our state of health. And that's what psychoneuroimmunology is all about. So it's the study of the psyche, which really translates to spirit. But most people in the West will call it, the psychology, and they liken it to the mind and emotions. But really, it's the spirit. Neuro, which is your brain and your spinal cord, and immunology, which is your immune system. Now, if we want to get really fancy and complicated, we can actually say, Liz, PNI or PNE, which is psychoneuroendocrinology, or we want to put it all together and really twist our tongues, psychoneuro and even I can't say psychoneuroendocrinology.
Oh, that's a big one.
PNEI or PNIE. So what does it all mean?
So let me backtrack just for a second. So psychoneuroimmunology is the PNI is the study of our immune system response, and our brain response.
Yeah, but really the driving force here is consciousness. Okay. The driving force is the psyche. And that's what we're beginning to uncover more and more. So initially it was about, can we demonstrate the brain and the immune system are connected? Then we began to ask even better questions like, what's the state of my emotions on my health and my disease progression or preventing a disease? How do negative emotions affect my potential propensity for things like heart disease or even cancer? Or how can my positive emotions and my state of being, my state of consciousness, actually shift my biology and help me stay well or get well? And so that's all within the realm of psychoneuroimmunology. And so we keep exploring these layers of our experience. We're looking at these interconnections between the layers of our physical experience, our emotional and mental experience, and even our energetic and spiritual experience. And so that's what I've spent most of my life really exploring, is the energetic and spiritual dimensions of the psyche connected to the shifts in biology, because we're all, these are all facets of experience. So this is what's beautiful about the science, is we're finally beginning to show how all these things interconnect, and how my consciousness can help not only heal myself, but heal others. And that's where, a lot of my work has been looking at healing practices, things like Reiki, healing touch, pranic healing, laying on of hands, what we call biofield therapies, or the study of the biofield, which I believe is an extension of psychoneuroimmunology. It's starting to look at our energetic selves and our energetic health, and its relationship with our physical health and even with the world around us.
Oh, that was such a mouthful, and I love it. Like, I'm super, super fascinated about this subject, and I think all of you. I'm seeing some of you making comments from Oregon and New York, and please ask questions during our conversation, and I will get to your questions, and you can put that in the comment section. So, when you've been studying about negative thoughts and related to heart disease, what kinds of information have you found that, how does that really have an effect on our lives?
Liz, it's a really timely conversation, because the first initial studies were really looking at things like anger and sadness. And with everything going on in the world today, it's really germane for us to explore how we work with these emotions. Because here's one thing that's super clear from the evidence: stuffing our emotions does not work. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I've got to be happy, I've got to be positive. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. And, as some people like to say, if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention, right? So how do we work with our anger? Here's what we've learned in P&I. I'm just going to say P&I for short, right? If we express our anger constantly in a way of being hostile to others, ourselves or others, we not only raise our blood pressure, but we raise blood pressure around people around us too. Okay. So that's actually been shown in studies with couples and other things. If you're constantly running hostility and outward directed anger, you can raise your blood pressure in others as well. And it
I
can.
can feel it when I get upset. I mean, I can feel my blood pressure.
So how do we work with that? Because the thing is, it also doesn't work to say, oh, I just, like, I'm going to pretend like this anger is not here and I'm going to stuff it. Okay. Some of my friends like to say stuff and blow. That's what happens. If you stuff your emotions, at some point you're going to blow up. So you're still going to get those physical ramifications and the ramifications of people around you. Nobody likes to be blown up on, right?
Right.
So how do we work with that? Psychoneuroimmunology teaches us to first simply accept what is happening. So this is where we can take a key from mindfulness and other spiritual practices, where we say, okay, let me just sit and breathe with this moment. How am I feeling? Right? And just honor the feeling. And as we begin to create space to honor the feeling, we create a natural vibrational container for whatever emotion is coming up. And we allow it to come up, and we allow ourselves to express it in a way that we honor the emotion without sticking to it all the time. So here's what else we've learned in P&I. The sticky part of emotions. And we can talk about this on the energetic and spiritual level. We can talk about it in relationship with our chakras, for example, or we can just talk about it from the brain. The tendency of the brain is sometimes to ruminate when we get, a negative emotion, right?
Oh, I've never done that. I've never done that.
The chewing of our cud, right? That's what rumination actually means, like chewing our cud. We just chew it over and over and over. Okay, so there's a reason why we do that, because
it's so annoying.
It is, and none of us like it. We know we're doing it, right?
Right.
Why do we do it? Well, because we have these certain brain circuits that can get activated, especially when we're constantly barraged with bad news. And look, the media knows what they're doing, right? So they constantly put this like bait in us. So it's like we're on edge, and then it's like, oh, I got to check the news again. Oh, I just checked it 2 minutes ago. Oh, I got to check again, right? So we're amping up our nervous system in a way that we keep running those same grooves and circuits. So here's what else is interesting. The same circuits that run when we have rumination with things like anger and depression or sadness also influence our pain circuits. So there is a neurobiological link between our feelings of physical pain and social pain. So this all sounds like bad.
Say that again slowly, like, I don't
Yeah.
get that.
So
Okay.
here's and I talk about this in my most recent TEDx talk. So if you look at my TEDx talk in TEDx Berkeley, I go over
And
all the
I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention that.
yeah.
Shamani's been, like, featured in Time Magazine, and she's worked closely with Deepak Chopra and Dr. Bruce Lipton and Greg Braden. So, yeah, okay, so keep going. And has a fabulous TEDx talk.
And a book and all the things. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we know what to do with those stuck emotions right now, okay? Because a lot of us are experiencing those. So we don't have to be a slave to rumination. When we notice that we're ruminating, psychoneuroimmunology teaches us again to come back to the present moment and to nourish ourselves. Now, sometimes to some people, the idea of when there's so much suffering going on in the world, how can I go nourish myself? How can I go do something that makes me feel good? Isn't that bypassing? No, it's not, because we want to learn how to feel all our emotions. We want to feel all of it. So if our brain gets skewed into only feeling negative emotions, that's when we see these effects on health, like heart disease and chronic disease, chronic inflammation in the body, right? Because we're running the same circuit over and over again. But what we want is harmonizing of our nervous system. So when we allow ourselves to do something pleasurable, to take a break, to go out into nature and get off of our screens,
Mhm,
to
mhm.
eat a pleasant meal, it actually cuts that ruminative cycle for us. We then focus on the pleasurable sensation. We allow ourselves to expand our conscious experience so that when we notice we're ruminating, we can redirect, we can reorient. Because here's the thing: ruminating about the state of the world isn't helping the world.
Ugh,
What's going to help the world is for us to come into conscious, co-creative action. So
can
we
you
have to
just
process our rage, but then we have to move forward.
I want you to say that again, because I know there are people listening that have, present company included, we've been ruminating. I'm checking Instagram, what's happening in Israel, what's happening to the Palestinian, over and over again.
Yeah,
And it does wake me up in the middle of the night. It
yeah,
does wake me up in the morning, and there it is. So
yeah,
please share that again, because that was
yeah.
super important.
Yes, it is really important. Okay. If we continue to just ruminate, we're not helping our health. We're not actually helping the situation because we're getting stuck in a rut and it makes us feel powerless and paralyzed. We all know what that feels like, right?
Mhm.
So the way out of that is to actually give yourself space and do things that shift your mind so that you can get resourced. We have to jump into our co-creative potential. We have to be able to hold all the possibilities for healing for ourselves and for our planet. We cannot do that if we're stuck in a ruminative cycle. So I'm not suggesting we bypass. I'm not suggesting we don't ever check the news. We need to do that. But then once you've gotten that dose of news, close the phone, close the television, go out into nature, ground and breathe. Ground into your body. One of the things that we've learned from psychoneuroimmunology is that simply coming into presence in our body and our energy allows for a creative response to come forward. Because what we want to do is we want to respond to the crisis. We don't want to react to it, right?
Right. Oh, this is so brilliant. It's just, I'm so in love with this material. We do have a couple of questions from, yeah, we do have some questions. I'll go ahead and put them on the screen. All
Sounds
right.
good.
So Linda wants to know, how do we heal ourselves of some serious genetic issues?
Linda, it's a great question. Okay. My dear friend Bruce Lipton likes to say that lots of what we think is, due to specifically only to our genes is not really the case. And without getting into a really lengthy discussion here, if you haven't heard of epigenetics, let me just explain to you what that is. Essentially, it's how we control the proteins that are coming off of our DNA. So we may say, okay, I have certain genetic tendencies. I've inherited a certain way that my DNA might express itself because of my own trauma or genetic, dispositions or whatever, but we're actually not a slave to that. That's what the data shows us. When we shift our environment and we shift our consciousness, we shift our diet, we shift our behavior, all of these things have been shown to influence how the proteins in our body are expressed. And it's the proteins in our body that will actually drive our health, not just what the DNA code is, because we can basically alter that DNA code. That's essentially what epigenetics is. So, what are some key things we can do no matter what the disorder is? Grounding and breathing. And we can do a practice if you want, Liz. So, that is really key. Coming home to our bodies, coming home to our breath, coming home to nature. There's data
Breath.
there's data looking at this from the energetic point of view, from the immune point of view, from the mental health point of view. Nature heals. So that's number one. Come into nature, ground and breathe with her, our biggest healer. The second, again, allow for the pleasurable flows of energy in your life. Some simple things.
This conversation is touching my heart so deeply.
Liz, we all need it, We
I'm
really,
overwhelmed.
we need it. Yeah.
There's just been so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry this doesn't happen to me on Facebook Lives.
No, it's fine. It's very real, and we're all feeling it. We're right there with you, Liz. I'm wondering how you've been doing, honestly. And everyone else, but especially those of us who are really connected to everyone that's living out there in Israel and Gaza. It's really, it hurts us all, but some of us have really deep ties there. So I'm not surprised. It's good you're letting your emotions come.
Right on Facebook Live, I get red face.
No, it's beautiful.
Really red face.
You're modeling this for us, it's important. It really is.
Yeah.
It is.
I love what you're sharing about, because I certainly know for myself, and I don't know if any of you out here have experienced this. Rachel, you said the hamster wheel. It's like I can get stuck on a thought. Well, this person did this, and yeah, and then I'm off and running, and all night long, and then into the next morning. And so I love what you're sharing, but it's hard sometimes for us in Arizona to go out in nature when it's 115 out.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yes.
haven't figured that one out yet. But there's always water, this swimming pool.
Water is a huge
the breathing exercise. And, everyone stay tuned because I am going to ask Shamini to do the breathing exercise and the grounding exercise.
Yeah.
So hold on one second. We have another couple questions. So Barb Nyman is asking, what is the negative energy that's going on today? How is it going to affect us? Will it affect everyone in different parts of their body or in the same part of the body?
Well, I would suspect that it's all touching our hearts. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether it will negatively affect our hearts is the question. Okay. Let me just speak from my spiritual traditions a little bit. Many of you may have heard the term Kali Yuga, right? We're in this age of Kali Yuga. What is that? That's the age of transformation. Some people call it the age of darkness, but it's not actually that. Kali Ma is actually the goddess of transformation. So what we call this negative energy is actually bringing to light the ignorance that we have to clear. That's going to touch our hearts, all of our hearts. And then we get to choose how we respond to that disturbance that we feel, because there is a disturbance. There is the witnessing of ignorance and violence. Okay. But we don't have to stop there. Then again, how do we respond to that? We bring in the light. We bring in the light. Right now, we're actually celebrating, in my traditions, in the Hindu tradition, in the tantric traditions, we're celebrating Navaratri. It's the time of the goddess. It's the 9 days of the goddess. And today we actually revere an incarnation of, you can say, kind of a relational goddess with Lakshmi Ma. And some people are just celebrating Lakshmi Ma outright. But this particular depiction of Lakshmi Ma or form of Lakshmi Ma is actually the bringer in of the light, and that's who we're celebrating today. So it's no accident that we're having this conversation,
Yeah.
because what we're being asked to do is bring in the light. So if we let ourselves feel in our hearts, just like you just did, Liz. You just
Must be
did, right?
surprised.
You helped us just feel the reality of, like, how does that energy affect the heart? Well, we cry, but the crying is also an opening, right? It can be an opening to grace
Open and compassion to
and
feel.
an opening to light. So I don't think, as weird as this may sound, I don't think this has to be negative. This is our wake-up call.
Yes. And how many wake-up calls does humanity need to have? How
That
many wake-up
that
calls
is
does
the
humanity-
million-dollar question, right?
You know, I also, a different topic, but I also think that this is showing us, leading us more into the divine feminine, into the goddess energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And that doesn't necessarily mean man or woman. That means just divine feminine. Because men can certainly tap into their own divine femininity and their, you know, goddess energy as well.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's the flows of energy that manifest everything in the entire universe. That's what the divine feminine is. She is the Shakti, the living force behind everything. So when we begin to honor the Shakti in all things, we see the world and experience the world really differently. And yeah, that's really my practice, is to do that. It's a lot of what I teach also, and a really wonderful way to connect with Shakti in that way is through sound making. So it's a lot of what I teach. Liz will be doing some of that together in this wonderful event in January that I'm so pleased to be part of, that you're putting together. Yeah, there's really wonderful ways to resource and replenish our energy stores, even with everything going on. And remember, it's not a bypass, it's a method for us coming into a creative response, a needed response, and not feeling paralyzed by fear, anger, and despair, because that's not going to help.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. But I love the different perspectives and how to break that cycle, how to break that cycle of negativity, how to break that cycle of as Rachel said, the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So I do, now that you mentioned this, so I do want to share with all of you something that's going on in January, and then we will have you do a breath work grounding. I would love that.
Great. Great.
Excuse me. So what Dr. Shamini has been talking about is in January, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. So this is an interesting program, the way this program has come about. I got a phone call from Greg and Anita, who you've all known that I worked with for a long time, Greg, Braden, Anita Morjani, and Bruce Lipton. And now coming into the circle is Dr. Shamini Jain. And so I was asked to put together a program with the four of them, because the four of them are collaborating. They wanted to collaborate on a program, and here it is. Let me do that. There we go. They wanted to collaborate on a program with all four of them, because all four of their work is so congruent with the other. Like, as I'm learning more and more about your work, Shamini, I'm seeing like the total fit with you and Bruce and Greg and Anita. So we are doing this program in Scottsdale. And I know it seems a far way away, but it's really not. It's January 26th through the 29th. And the four of them have created this amazing, amazing program where we're going to be talking all about epigenetics. We're going to be talking about psychoneuroimmunology. We're going to be talking about what Anita experienced in her near-death experience. And we're going to bring it all together. And one of the most beautiful things, I think, about this program is that all four teachers are coming together in collaboration, and they have created this amazing retreat together as a unit. So it's not just, sometimes at Celebrate Your Life events, we'll get teachers and they'll all, we'll bring them into a platform, but we haven't done it. We've only done this once before, where they're all coming together in a way that complements one another's work. And so I highly recommend you come join us for this. The URL is right there. It's openhearts.celebrateyourlife.com/home. I'll go ahead and put that into the chat as well, because I know that's kind of a long URL. You don't have to put www in front of it, but it's really going to be an amazing program. And throughout the retreat, we'll be doing processes. Shamini will be leading processes. I know Greg will. I know Anita will. And what's really cool is that there's going to be a ton of panel discussions where you'll get to ask questions. So it's not just about a talking head experience where the speakers up there lecturing. We're going to be doing processes. We're going to be doing conversations. Meals are included if that's the package that you include. So I highly encourage you to come join us. It's really going to be a great program. I'm excited.
It's going to be super wonderful. We've done this once before, and it was just amazing. The energy was through the roof, literally. And I still have people, Liz, coming to me and saying, that was life-changing, and it really set me on a beautiful path. I came to nourish my soul as well as my mind, and they really got that experience and have kind of stayed in touch, and we're really excited about this because it's a way for us to come together as a community and build the force field that we need for compassion. There's never been a better time. And we're going to have a lot of fun learning practices and data too.
Yeah. And each of you kind of build upon the others.
Yeah.
Teachings. That's what I love.
We all, what's so wonderful? We all stay for each other's talk. So we're really just sort of connecting with the flows of what each person has said. So we are having a really wonderful continued experience of growth and transformation throughout the 4 days. And it's by design, right? We all love each other. We love each other's work. You have deep, deep respect. Obviously, me being, as you said, especially to you, Liz, the new kid on the block, as far as your events go. I just have to say how honored I am to be with these amazing luminary teachers and share what I have to share along with them. So it's a really, really beautiful event.
Yeah, I'm so excited for it. But I always get excited for my own events that we do. Because I love what happens in the space.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the transformation that happens in the space.
Yeah.
And this is going to be off the charts powerful. Okay, so let's do that grounding exercise. Let's do a little process for everyone. Everyone kind of get a little comfortable, and Shamini, please.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to actually bring a little sound into this too, just because I see that energy and sound is such a powerful mover of energy with the breath. So we are going to play, you guys. I know you want to be playful, and if you don't think you want to be playful, you will want to be playful after this. So take a nice breath. Just get comfortable. If you're sitting, get comfortable feeling your sit bones in your sofa, your chair. Taking a nice breath. And then with the next nice exhale, just let out some sound. And really just breathe and let the sound kind of take the breath down the body. Exhaling. And just do this a few times at your own pace where you're breathing in naturally, breathing out and letting a sigh out, letting a sound out. Ooh. And letting that energy really sink into the hips and move down the legs, down the feet, into the earth, so that you're really feeling your connection here on the chair. And the earth that supports you. Really breathing into this lower body. Breathing into the root, the base of your spine, if that feels comfortable, really like your coccyx, right? That base of your spine there. the hips, the bladder, just resting your awareness here. And now from this place, allow for a broader energy exchange. Allow for the energy of the earth to come up the feet, up the legs, touching the knees and the thighs. Breathing and feeling this grounded energy touching the hips and the belly button. And just feel this grounded and expansive flow in the lower body for a moment. Now bringing your awareness further up the body into the solar plexus, that area between your heart and belly button. And just breathing into that. Bringing a golden light to stabilize the center of your being. And expand further up to the heart. Feel the front and the back of your heart center, the center of your chest. Allow yourself to be supported and nourished by your breath and by spirit. Letting your shoulders relax. Bringing that light force, allowing it to move through the shoulders, down the arms, into the hands. And allowing for the energy to continue to ascend, touching the throat and the chin, the ears, the nose. Breathing in behind our eyes. Our temples, our forehead. Up through the crown of our head. Feeling ourselves here in this pillar of light. And breathing freely. With a renewed clarity and connected to this reservoir of energy that you can connect to at any time. Give thanks to yourself for giving a few minutes for a practice. And when you're ready, if you've had your eyes closed, you can open them.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, so simple if we just allow ourselves time to do it. Yeah.
That was less than 5 minutes. I mean, we take that time for ourselves. Wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm supposed to talk, right? How is everyone feeling? Go ahead and put it in the comments. How is everyone feeling? That it's so simple and it breaks up that, effusive energy, that the mind going, the pain or the negativity or the sadness or the anger into a state of just beingness. I mean, you can even hear it with me. I'm more in my body, centered.
That's
Great clarity. Thank you.
You bet, Liz. My pleasure. One thing, to tie a bow on the psychoneuroimmunology discussion, here's some of the punchline. We are not our thoughts. We are not our emotions. We are consciousness in
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
So a return to that is important for us.
It's like returning to the true self.
Yes.
When you said pillar of light, I was like, oh, yeah, that's who I am.
Yes.
That's who we all are. So, oh, ladies, gentlemen, and they, Dr. Shamini Jane. Yay! All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. And please come join us in January. You can get all the information if you just go to celebrateyourlife.com. If you just go to the main page on our website, there's a link to the retreat in January, and it's the perfect way to begin the new year. Definitely. So that's Dr. Shamini Jane, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden, and Anita Morjani. It just doesn't get any better, you guys. All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you so much, Shamini, for being with us today.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.